Hello everyone and welcome back to the All Day Poker YouTube channel. My name is Josh and today we are jumping in this PASCOOP $50 mini main event championship trophy tournament. Here, $50 buy-in. Right now there are already 868 players that have entered the tournament, and I figured I would start recording because we are doing pretty well. We jumped in about an hour and a half ago, been slowly chipping our way up, and then won a couple big pots here over the last 10 minutes or so. So I figured I would record the rest of this tournament because it's a pretty big one, over $6,600 up top. As I said, currently sitting in 6th place, so I'll be recording the rest of these hands and upload them to YouTube for you guys to watch. So without further ado, please enjoy the clips. Got pocket jacks here in middle position. Gonna open it up to 2.2. If any of these short stacks want to 3-bet or jam, we will happily play for stacks with our jacks. No pun intended. We just get called on the button though, and then we get jammed on pretty easy all in here. Gonna be ace-king the vast majority of the time. Obviously there are some chances we could be crushed by queens, kings, or aces, but can't worry about that too much. And it's ace-queen. We got to flip, hold. No queen, no ace. Yes, very nice. We are running hot in this tournament so far. Let's see, what does that put us up into? That puts us into 6th place out of 511 remaining. 863 total entries, so we are running well. Let's hopefully keep this up. We got ace-jack offsuit here in the small blind. I decided to add a little timer down in the bottom left corner of the screen so you guys can see real time how much time elapses in between each of my hands, because you're just seeing clips and sometimes it's right after another, and sometimes it's 20-30 minutes between hands if we're just running card dead. So let me know in the comments if you like the timer on screen or not. But as you saw there, we lost with the ace-jack against the ace-7, unfortunately, although he only had 3 big blinds, so it was a very small pot. Thankfully, we'll happily lose those ones as long as the big ones keep coming our direction. But still sitting in 8th, 503 remaining, 908 total entries, looking at 127 places paid. So very nice, almost 7K up top. Let's see if we can keep building up these chip stack. We are going to raise up the 7-10 suited in middle position here. This might be a loose open with the big blind so short. Then we immediately get 3-bet. We are at the bottom of our range here. I think we're just going to fold. We could get sticky and call and see a flop, but I'd rather take the aggressive approach as the big stack on the table. And if I call there, I'm going to have to play out of position against the button. And he's very deep also with over 80 big blinds. Don't really want to get too tricky with a weak hand like 10-7 suited. So we'll just let that one go. Look for a better spot. This is a tough spot here, defending our big blind with the queen-9 offsuit. I think I'm supposed to call there, but because this guy's so shallow and he's raising 3x, kind of right on the line if I want to call there with the queen-9. But we are going to limp this ace-8 offsuit. You want to be limping from the small blind more than raising when you're deep stacked, because the disadvantage from playing out of position is much more severe the deeper you are, because you're going to be facing bigger bets on not only the flop but also the turn and the river. If you're only 20 big blinds deep, if you bet and he calls, you're most likely getting it all in on the flop or folding. But when you're really deep, you're going to have to go through multiple streets of betting, and each one of those you're going to be playing out of position. So it's a lot more difficult to navigate out of position against the big blind's defending range. But we see a nice flop here in this 5-way pot. We got the nut flush draw, the ace-5 of spades. Also got some backdoor straight possibilities, but some very shallow stacks here. We are not going to let this one check through, though. We'll happily take this one down. If it checks to us, we'll put out, let's see. I think we want to put out a half pot size bet here. And it folds around. Nice little semi-bluff there. Obviously, if we get called, it's not the end of the world because we can always improve to the nuts with any spade. Any ace gives us a strong hand also. Any 8 gives us an open-ended straight draw. A lot of cards help us out there. We are just going to limp along with the pocket 3s. If you're not sure what a limp is, it's just when you call pre-flop instead of raising. It's not something you really want to be doing, but when there's an early position limp and I have the 3s, I'll happily just limp along and see if I can see a flop for cheap, try to hit a set of 3s. And then if we miss, we just fold, lose a very small pot, which is fine. We're going to raise up the ace-10 offsuit here, 2.5 bigs from early position. Going to be folding to 3 bets in jams unless Otis Beer decides he wants to play for it all. Got heads up against the cutoff on a very dry board. I think we're going to bet small here with 100% of our hands, and it gets through. On really dry boards like that, there's really not much he's going to have to be able to call with there. On Jack 5-5, obviously any Jack's going to call, any 5's going to call or raise. Some heart draws will call, but the vast majority of his hands are going to miss that board. And I have all the overpairs in my range as the pre-flop aggressor with pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, all those very strong hands. So when there's not too many draws that are available, he's not going to be calling with straight draws and other hands that have a big chance of improving on the turn and river. So nice easy way to pick that one up with ace high. We are going to defend the 9-10 offsuit against this late position raise. Now we see we are going to check. Any jack gives us a straight, but don't really like the spot here. You don't really want to be calling just for the chance of hitting a gut shot. But in this particular case, I do also have a backdoor flush draw with my 9 of diamonds. So I think I'm going to check this one over to him again, and he checks it back. I think he's just going to have a king or a queen here way too often to try to bluff. We could try to represent a flush, but I don't think we're going to get him to fold. Yeah, he wouldn't be value betting here or going for a bluff here with anything but a king or a queen. So we're just going to fold, let him have this one. Jack 9 suited. Jack 9 suited on the small blind. Well, that makes our decision easier when under the gun player just open rips for 13 bigs, easy fold. We are going to be putting in the 3-bet here with the king 7 suited. Go 3x in position. should put some pressure on this man's weaker holdings, and he folds. Haven't been mixing in too many 3-bet bluffs thus far. We've had a very value-heavy 3-betting range. So we're going to try to mix in some bluffs, play aggressively, try to dominate these shorter stacks. Got the ace-jack suited here, facing a late position raise. We are just going to call here. And we flop the nut flush draw on queen 4-8. And he bets out small. I think we're just going to flat here. We want to keep him in there with some of his bluffs. 4 pairs the board, which is not what we wanted to see. But that's definitely not a card that he's going to have in range. But our diamond outs could be dead if he's got pocket queens or pocket eights. I think we're still getting a good enough price to call to try to hit our flush here. And we miss. Shay, what the fuck? You're bad luck. Brutal.
Just shit on your own review.
I know. Now let's see. What if he checks here, Shay? Should I rip it all in? No choice. All right. We're just going to let this one go. We get to see a free flop with queen 3 offsuit here. And we do flop top pair, but it is a monotone board with 3 clubs out there. So we're going to check this one back. Deuce of hearts is a good card. Should not change anything, really. Now, I think we're just going to check call here, or just call. 7 should not change anything. We more than likely have the best hand. We're losing to some flushes that he could have slow played, but I don't think I'm going to be folding those for this sizing. Maybe a hand like 5-7. No, we don't even lose to 5-7. I'm stupid. I think easy call. And he had the 10 of clubs, bluffing his missed club draw. Nice little pot we scoop up there with the queen 3. Putting us into, let's see, up to 43rd place. 159 places paid, looking pretty good. We got ace king suited here on the button. We're going to be bumping this one up. Going to go for a 3x raise up to 9 bigs. We got 238k in chips. Started with 50,000, so we're just about 5x the starting stack. And he does make the call, which is a really interesting play to make. That short, I just don't think I can fold here. I don't know what he's calling and then jamming. Oh, this is a tough spot. Ace, king. I think I need to call. We made the right decision, and it holds. Very nice. Huge pot there. See, that's tough when he just flat calls my 3-bet there. He's so short. Post flop, he's only got 15 bigs left, and there's already 20 in the pot. So he's going to be going all in with basically everything. That includes any hand that just has 1 club, any jack. He's not really going to ever have a 4 or an 8 in that spot. So I kind of thought he would most likely just have a singular club hand that he's drawing to a flush with. And it ended up being correct. We can see that when I called there, I had about a 50% chance to win. Let's see, we can rewatch this. Oh. Let's see. So when I call, yeah, see, 56% favorite on the flop there. So we definitely made the right play there. Worked out well. Bumps us up to 14th out of 423 remaining. Still got Let's see, 20 minutes left before the late registration window closes.
They still watching us?
Got ace 10 offsuit here. On the button, we are just going to flat call against this raise, and we flop trip aces. Lovely spot. He checks it over to us. I'm going to put out a half pot c-bet. He's going to be calling with all his lower pocket pairs like queens, kings, jacks, even tens, nines probably going to call. I think I'm actually going to get a little tricky and check this one back on the turn. He checks again. Now I think we go for a 70% pot size bet, and he's going to have to call us with his tens, jacks, queens, kings type hands. And he does call. Let's see what he had. Called us with ace 3. Oh, that sucks. Ace 3. Man, we missed out on a ton of value there. Oh, ace 3. I just did not have him on an ace there. Obviously, we have an ace. There's only one other ace left in the deck, so it's extremely unlikely that he has one himself there. But definitely missed out on some value because he's not going to fold trips there. Maybe if I go big on the turn and then bomb the river, he might be able to get away from that, but probably not for less than 50 bigs is he going to be able to fold 3 aces. But my check on the turn definitely looks like a horrible play after seeing his cards, but I think it helps us get some value on the river from a lot of his hands by checking back the turn. Typically, players will check their really strong hands on the flop, like trip aces, and then start going for value on the turn, but it's a little bit more predictable if someone checks flop and then goes big on the turn and then bombs the river. But it looks a little more bluffy if you try to take a stab at it on the flop and then check the turn like you're giving up or trying to realize some equity. Gives your opponent a little more confidence in their hand. But either way, we pull in a pretty nice pot. Could have been a little bigger had we bet the turn. But we will happily take it, sitting in 8th place of 411 remaining. Now we got the Queen 10 suited, going to be a raise when we are 2/5 of the way to a royal flush. Would not like to get 3-bet though, especially with these stack sizes. Any 3-bet we would see from any of these players is just going to be an all-in jam, and we would have to fold. We're getting such a good price, but there's no way we're going to be ahead. We're just losing to so many hands. We're going to let this one go. We want to try to take the aggressive approach. And calling other people's all-ins is not an aggressive play. It's a gamble. Queen 10 is going to be behind. The best case scenario there is I'm up against a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 8s and we're coin flipping. More than likely he's got an ace there, maybe a hand like ace 7. Any weak ace is still beating us. They got about 60% equity, which if I knew that he had a weak ace, I would be able to call because 60% equity, I'm getting a good enough price to call there. But I think for a 15 big blind shove, it's a little bit loose to call with the Queen 10 suited. With this big field tournament, I think we're just going to wait for a better spot. Got ace 9 suited here in middle position. We are going to be putting in a 3-bet up to 6.5 bigs, a little over 3x sizing. We're going to have to fold to a jam if he does go for that route. Folds back to the original raiser, and let's see what he decides on here. This player is a very strong player. He does elect on the call. Now on this dry board, I think we are going to put out a small bet of a little less than about a third size pot. 5 bigs, and he folds. Another example of just betting on dry boards. It's one of the benefits of being the pre-flop aggressor is you don't cap your range. So when he calls there, he's pretty much capping off his hands at hands like pocket tens. I think everything above that he's going to go all in with. So that gives me all those strong hands like jacks, queens, kings, aces there. And not that he would have folded pocket tens on that board, but a lot of his hands are just going to miss that flop. Ace king, he's going to go all in with, but ace queen, he's probably just going to flat call. Ace jack, flat call the 3-bet. And a nice small bet on the flop gets all those hands out of there that have a ton of equity against my ace 9. But we are also going to raise up this 6-7 suited. Middle position. And the small blind jams, so we get to see a cheap all-in run out here. And we lose to the king-queen offsuit. Not a big deal. Losing a 8 big blind pot. We'll happily continue to lose the small ones and win the big ones. That's a pretty good recipe for a large-scale poker tournament. We're going to bump up this king 10 offsuit here on the button as we see those small blind folds. See what the big blind elects to do here. Would suck to get 3-bet with this current holding. Pretty easy fold though. He does make the call and we flop bottom pair. But on this ace-high board, we are going to put out a half pot size continuation bet. He does make the call. The flush comes in on the turn. Could be some hands that he's calling with a heart draw. So we're going to check back this turn, try to get to showdown as cheaply as we can with our tens. Most likely just going to have to fold this river if he bets here. I don't see too many hands that are calling the flop that we actually are beating. But he does check it to us. Now we get to see for free. He checks the weak ace. All right. Nothing we can do there. If we bet, he's calling. I don't think he's folding his top pair unless we go really big, which on that board, I do not really want to do without a heart in hand. So we'll let him have that. Drop down to 16 of 389 remaining. We get to see a free flop with the 5 deuce of clubs. And he does check. We are going to put out a small bet here. He's only got 6 remaining. Wonderful turn card. We turn the flush draw as well as the gut shot straight flush. We're just going to put them all in here. Calls with 7-3 straight, and we lose. Unfortunate. We run into the stone cold nuts on the turn there, but not much else we can do with our flush draw. Pair of 5s. He's only got 5 bigs left, 5 bigs in the pot. Easy all in there. But now we get the ace-queen offsuit. Against this late position raise, we are going to put in the 3-bet to 4x the open sizing. And he folds. Nice to pick up one pre-flop. Not too eager to play against this guy here. He is one of the strongest players on this site as a whole. At over 157,000 in profit, over 7,000 tournaments. So certainly happy to take one down pre-flop against that opponent. Got ace-king offsuit in middle position. Going to be 3-betting any open prior to us. We see a limp from a short stack to our right. We're going to isolate that limp and raise it up to 4 bigs. Folds back to the original raiser, who just elects on a call. Little bit suspicious what exactly he's limp calling and then open ripping on the flop. Once again, same reason I called with the ace-king before. I think I need to do it again. He's got the 3s, and we're drawing dead. Unfortunate. Now we got the 3s ourselves. That pot there drops us down to 41st. We are going to bump up the 3s from early position. Tough spot there with the ace-king. I could fold, but once again, when he just flat calls and puts in, he's only got 10 bigs behind, but there's 10 in the pot. He's going to be jamming almost every hand that he has. And ace-king is good against a large portion of those hands. Any non-paired hand, because he's not going to have many 9s, 4s, or 6s in range. But it's kind of a weird play. You don't see too many people limp call with pocket 3s that short stack. They either rip it all in or fold. So either way, we would have lost. If he would have ripped it all in, we're calling. And he would have made his set. But it's all right. We're just losing some small ones here, but still hanging in there in the top 50, sitting at 37th. We are just going to check this one here and see a flop. A pretty good one at that. We do need to worry about some potential pocket 5s. With a lot of these limps, pocket 5s is certainly a hand that could be limped pre-flop to try to see a flop. But we do make our flush on the turn. C-Tez leads out for half pot. Gonna put in a raise here, up to 9 bigs. He rips it all in. This is actually a pretty gross spot. I actually think I'm gonna have to fold this. I don't know. No, I can't. I'm calling. Yes. Thank God. Okay, I didn't fold. He just had trips. See, the reason that's actually not that good of a spot is think of the hands that are going to raise and then re-raise all in over a raise. So obviously when I re-raise there, I'm basically saying that I have a flush or a full house. If there wasn't a paired board there, that's an easy snap call for me, but I'm still losing to better flushes. A 10 high flush is not that high up on the scale of the best hands on that board, with the pocket or with 2 deuces being out on the board. Good thing he only had the set, did not have the full house, so we were able to win that one. But a lot of times there, he's just going to have a better flush than me or a full house. But that particular player is fairly inexperienced, only had about 400 events played. So a lot of those players will overvalue their hands. A hand like trip 2s when there's a flush on board. Another factor for that hand is we were going 4 ways, so it's more likely someone else is going to have a strong hand. If it was just me and that guy going heads up from the get-go, it's an easy call on an all-in. But if he has a flush, 90% of the time it's going to be better than a 10 high flush, and he also could have pocket 5s, pocket 6s for a full house. But good thing we decided to make the call, put us back into the top 10, sitting at 10th out of 332. See, still got over $9,000 up top currently. 3 hours and 10 minutes into this tournament. Late registration has closed. So let's see, 1,277 total entries. We're sitting in 10th place. Could not ask for a better spot up to this point. Let's see if we can keep it running. Ace Queen suited in early position here. Gonna bump it up. 2.3. Let's see what we can do here. And he puts in the minimum raise. When people do this, it just screams pocket aces or pocket kings, but I'm not folding for 1.3 more bigs. We're going to see a flop and then evaluate from there. We missed this board entirely, so pretty easy check fold in this situation. When you see players put in that very min raise on a short stack, it's almost like they just want to make sure they keep you in the pot with one of their very strong hands. And he puts out a almost pot-sized bet on the flop, so we have an easy fold. We're going to defend the 5-4 offsuit on the big blind, getting a good price. We do flop a pair. Let's try to not get ourselves into too much trouble. Now, against... I'm going to actually fold because after a bet and a call, my pair of 5s is kind of horrible. And of course, I would have turned 2 pair. What am I doing? What am I doing? Garbage. Unfortunate. Well, good thing the ace of clubs came in on the river. So now we're losing to a lot of hands. Flushes, any 2 makes a straight. Losing to some better 2 pairs like ace 8. Let's see. And we would have lost to the flush. So very nice that we were able to get out of there on the flop. Saved ourselves some money on the river. Got a beautiful looking hand with the ace king suited here in middle position. Gonna put in a 3-bet over this early position raise up to 6 big blinds. This could actually be for our tournament life here. If he rips it all in, we're just going to have to call. If he's got queens or jacks, it's very possible that he will just be ripping it all in. And no, he folds, saving us having to sweat a flip. Would not feel too great about getting it all in with ace king against queens. At this stage of the tournament, sitting in 25th place against the only other big stack at the table. But he just folds, gives us the pot, and we will happily take that. Going on to break, sitting in, let's see, 20th place out of 242 remaining, 175 make the money. So we're approaching the money bubble pretty quickly here since late registration closed. But we are looking great to make a deep run in this $50 championship trophy event. Okay, we are going to open up the pocket 3s, 2 bigs from early position. Could just fold these, but as a big stack, I think I like the aggressive approach. Taking it, and then on this dry king high flop, we are going to put out a small c-bet of a little less than half pot. And it gets through. Very nice. Got king queen offsuit here on the button. Let's see, this guy's going to be going in all in with a lot. He is not. We're just going to standard open this one to 2 bigs. And we do get called We flop top pair, which is always nice. Plenty of hands to get value from. Nines will probably call. Hands like Jack 10, 2 club hands. But we are going to start off with a slightly less than half pot size bet. Don't think I really need to worry about too many sets on this board. I think a lot of players are going to raise pre-flop with pocket eights and pocket nines, but we do get check raised here on the flop. I think he's going to be doing this with a lot of flush draws, so we're going to make the call and continue and hope to avoid any club. That didn't work. Now I think we're just going to have to fold to a bet. Okay, and he checks. Interesting. There's a chance he was doing this with like king 10. Maybe he just didn't believe me, but we're going to check this one back in case he's trying to trap with a flush. Now another club comes in, which is just not what you're looking for. Do not like the spot at all. Hopefully he checks. He bets very small. What hands could we possibly be beating? There's not very many. Is it worth paying 6.5 big blinds to see it though? I don't think so. I think we have a pretty easy fold here. It's a little interesting. I want to call strictly because he checked back he checked on the turn after check raising the flop. I don't really know what hands he's going to be doing that with that don't have a club. Maybe hands like Jack 10 but that could be the only hand that we're beating there is Jack 10, maybe 6-7 for straight draws that would have missed, but really hard to call down with just a pair on a board that has 4 clubs out there. You can just wait for a better spot. Okay, we get to see a free flop here with Jack 3 of clubs. Not exactly the board we were looking for, but we do have bottom pair. This guy's down to less than 15 bigs, so hard to imagine he's going to be putting money in without a very strong hand here. So we're just going to fold our bottom pair here. If he was a little deeper, I think I'd at least peel one and see a turn card, but not when he's down to 13 bigs. We got the beautiful pocket 10s on the button here. Gonna bump this one up to 2 bigs. Got pretty even with the 2 stack sizes to our left. I think if I get 3-bet, I'm gonna have to jam. It's not exactly the board we were looking for with 2 overcards to my pair, but the ace-high board certainly favors my range over the big blind's calling range, but not when that happens. Tough spot to get check raised, but not many reasons to continue here after we get check raised on this board. Unfortunate spot there, but we're just going to let him have it. Maybe I should check that board because I got some showdown value with my pair of 10s, but typically you want to bet ace-high boards as the pre-flop aggressor almost 100% of the time, especially heads up. If there was multiple people in that pot, I'd probably check my 10s. But going heads up with the big blind who's going to be calling with a wide range of hands, it's not the best spot. Okay, we got ace-9 suited in the small blind here. Facing this under the gun raise, we're most likely just going to call here. Do not really want to be inflating this pot against this guy's under the gun opening range. It's going to have a lot of stronger aces that are going to be dominating us in pocket pairs, but we do flop top pair, top kicker on a very dry board. Do need to be a little bit weary of some overpairs that he could have. Pocket tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces. But we're not going to fold just yet. That is for sure with our pair of nines. Now we are going to check it back over to him. And he checks it back. I think it's safe to go for we're going to go for a third pot size bet. Maybe he calls us with ace high. Pocket eights, pocket sevens could potentially call us. If we get raised here, it's a disgusting spot. He does call though. Let's see, what did he call us with? Pocket twos. Perfect. See, I never want to bet big there on that river because I'm never going to get called by hands that are worse than mine. If I bet too big, I'm only going to get called by hands that beat me, and all the hands that are worse than me are going to fold. So that small river bet entices him to call with his pocket twos, other weak pocket pairs. But if I bet too big, he's just going to fold those. But I'm still going to get called by ace queen. Any sets that he could have in range, those are all going to call as well, and I'm screwed against them. So it's a nice little sizing to get some value from the ace nine. Slight upgrade now with the ace jack. Also, we are going to be playing in position most likely, so we're going to bump it up to two bigs. Hopefully the small blind folds and we can play heads up against this short stack big blind player. He does not. He decides on a very small 3-bet. Now this is a small sizing, but I don't think I can fold for this price. It's not exactly the flop we were looking for with ace jack offsuit. He checks it over. We are going to check it back. Certainly could have some queens in range. He checks again. There's a good chance he could be trying to trap here with the pocket, or with a pair, with three queens, ace queen, king queen hands he could be doing this with. There's also a chance that ace high is good if he tried to put in a 3-bet bluff with hand like ace 10, ace 9. We get to see a free showdown. Ace king. Unfortunate there. Maybe if we put out a bet, but not on the river. He's probably just going to call us with ace high after we check down 2 streets. Good thing an ace didn't come out there. That would not have been good. I'm going to make note that he used a very small 3-bet sizing. Going to bump this one up to 2.3. Big blinds from under the gun. We do get called, so we're going to be out of position post-flop, unfortunately. See if the small blind or the big blind want to come along. If the small blind jams all in, which he does not, we would have to call. Not the flop we were looking for with 5, 3, 6. We are going to check this one, as this cutoff player is going to be calling with a lot of middling pocket pairs that I don't think he's going to fold. Now, the jack of diamonds does give us the nut flush draw. I think we are going to put out a semi-bluff here with the nut flush draw. And it gets through. Very nice. See, that's a tough spot there, whether to bet or check, because going multi-way, you try to want to put money in the pot when you have equity, and I have the nut flush draw there, but I don't want to bet 5 big blinds and then someone raises, because then I'm going to have to fold and I don't get to see the last card. where if I check, I get to see the last card, but if it's not a diamond, then there's not really a way for me to try to bluff that river, where my best opportunity to bluff is on the turn. And then if I do get called, I always have the chance to either hit the flush on the river or go for a river bluff. But preferably, they just fold on the turn, which they did, and it worked out well, putting us up to 51st out of 179. We are quickly approaching the money bubble here. Only 4 more people need to bust before we lock up $109 for ourselves. But with that being said, we can start putting a lot of pressure on these smaller stacks as one of the big stacks approaching the bubble, because they are not going to want to bust before getting into the money, so they're going to have to fold a wide range of their hands. King deuce suited, not going to be. Okay, we got pocket threes here. We're going to open this one up right on the bubble, as you can see by these lovely PokerStars animations. We do get called on the button, so looking for some improvement on the flop would be a lovely spot to flop a set. We do not, but this is a relatively dry board, but due to the fact that the button player has me covered, and this board was going to miss a lot of my opening range, I'm just going to check. I do not want to really risk getting too much money in here and busting one shy of the money with a weak hand like pocket threes. He's going to have a lot of middling pocket pairs, pocket sixes, sevens, eights, nines, tens that would just flat. But I am just going to let this one go, wait for a better spot. We are going to defend, I think. We have to. Jesus, this guy has over $240,000 in profit. But I think king 8 suited, we are going to have to defend. And we miss the board. We do have a backdoor nut flush draw with the king of hearts. But he checks it back. Still, don't got anything going for us. Don't think there's any merit to starting a bluff here. He could try to be slow playing an ace. And when he fires turn, we have a pretty easy fold. Look, we got a PokerStars affiliate playing out, or playing on our table. Jen Shahid. Here, let's see. Maybe she's streaming. I'll pull it up. But we got the ace 3 of diamonds. Another interesting spot here. I think just a flat call makes the most sense. Now we do flop top pair, but we have a weak kicker, so we're going to have to play a little bit carefully here. And he bets very small on the flop. We're going to bump this one up to 4 bigs. A lot of times people will put out these small continuation bets on the flop to kind of see where they're at. And just easiest spot there to raise and kind of see where I'm at, because if he re-raises, he's obviously making that with a strong play most likely, and I can pretty confidently fold my top pair with a weak kicker. And if he just flat calls, I'm most likely good, and he's going to be drawing to a hand like a flush with the hearts. But pick up a nice one there, sitting in 56th currently. Okay, we got ace queen offsuit here. We are just going to flat call against this under the gun range here. He's going to have a lot of strong aces. Ace king certainly could have some strong pocket pairs as well. No reason to inflate the pot with a bunch of people to act behind. We get to play this in position on a flop that we completely miss. I think we just need to fold to a bet here. Pretty dry board, and he goes small. But don't really like the spot. I think just going to have to let it go. Going to open up the pocket fives here in late position. And would love this one to just fold through. Would love it even more if we get called and flop a set. But if we get 3-bet here, we're just going to have to let it go. We do get 3-bet, unfortunately. Definitely not getting a good enough price to call here, I don't think. We'll let him have that one. We are going to defend our big blind with the Queen 10 offsuit, and we do flop top pair and an open-ended straight draw, and it checks through. We do make our straight. We are going to put out a half pot bet here, and they fold. Very anticlimactic hand there when we make a very strong hand on the turn and both players snap fold, but we're always happy to take one down. 4-6 suit offsuit here. I think we're just going to fold. We are going to defend our big blind with ace-10 offsuit. Now we do flop a gut shot straight draw and a backdoor flush draw, but it is only a 10 high flush draw. The pre-flop aggressor checks. Then this player sends in a pot size bet, which is a very interesting play. Not sure what he'd be making this with, but can't make the call for that price. Certainly would have had some outs, but against a pot size bet, not much we can do there with just a gut shot and an overcard. King 8 suited. This is another interesting one. We could potentially look at going for a 3-bet bluff, but the problem is our 3-bet bluffs in this at this stack size are almost always just going to be jamming all in. So we're going to try to steal the blinds here with the King 8 suited, and we do. Grab the big blind in the ante. Get a nice little chip up there. Gonna bump it up with Queen 10 offsuit. Hopefully we can get a nice looking flop like the last time we played the Queen 10 offsuit. This guy's been 3-betting us quite a bit from the small blind. He just decides to make the call this time. Now, this is a very dry board, but I think going multi-way, we're not going to c-bet here. We do have 2 overs. We do not find one of them. It checks again. I think I'm going to start out with a small bluff here of about half pot. And it gets through. Very nice, just going off the opponent's display of weakness there when they check the flop and the turn. We can take a stab at it there. It's going to get through a large portion of the time, and we do still have 2 overs if we do get called. Have a chance to hit one of those on the river. But it did not come to that, thankfully. Just kind of hanging around at the same stack size here, sitting in 63rd, 116 remaining. We are going to have to defend our big blind here with Queen 10 offsuit. And that is not what we were looking for. Although this range should favor mine, and we do turn top pair, but it does bring in the flush. I don't think he's going to be snap checking back a flush, though. Let's give him a chance to bluff at it. The 9 brings any 7 into a straight. I think we're just going to check. Hard to get value from much worse. Give him the opportunity to bluff and then call. He just checks it back. See what he had. Ace-Jack. Yeah, I probably should have put out a bet on the turn to protect my hand from single hands with a heart, but All right, we're going to call this all in here with ace-queen offsuit. Let's see what happens. Hopefully he doesn't have ace-king. Ace-king, queens, kings, and aces are the only hands we're scared of. If he has a hand like ace-jack or ace-queen, that's fine. And we will chop it up with this player and move on to king-queen. Let's see what we can do here. We are going to raise this one up as well. Not be good to get 3-bet, and we do avoid it. If this guy goes all in, he does not. I think I'm actually going to get a little tricky and check back this flop. We do turn the open-ended straight draw. Going to have to start trying to build a pot here. Throw 2 bigs out there. If he rips it all in with a jack or a 10 here, that would be lovely, but we're definitely calling. If he somehow has ace-king or 8-9 here, we just cry. And he had the king-high flush draw. Very nice. Pick up a pretty big pot relative to the size of the pots we've been playing lately. So we can take a look at the chip graph here. I've been kind of stagnant over the past little while here. The red line is mine, the blue stack's the average, and the top one is the biggest. But we're hanging in there as best we can here. Sitting in 35th now, 101 remaining. We are just going to limp in with the Jack-10 offsuit. This player has been playing fairly aggressive from the big blind, but we are going to call this time. And we flop the Stone Cold Nuts, best potential hand. Oh, look at that, straight to the king. He's going to be c-betting a wide range on this board. I think it is safe to put in a check raise here. We are going to bump this one up to 7.2. He's going to have to call us with a lot of his hands. Unfortunately, he doesn't just have king-queen there. That would be awesome. Play for stacks with our nut straight. But talk about a dream flop. Goes into the break. We're sitting in 26th place. Very nice. I'm going to raise it up here with 5-7 suited. Hopefully we do not get 3-bet from the big blind here. Put us in a tough spot, but not really a tough spot. Pretty easy fold here. He's just going to be doing this with a lot of bluffs. This is not a hand that I can continue with, though, at these stack sizes. Just going to have to let that one go. All right, we are going to be putting in a 3-bet bluff here with our ace-10 offsuit up to 8 bigs. Should put him in a pretty tough spot, sitting on 30 bigs. But if he jams all in, we are in a gross spot. And we get the bluff through. Very nice. Those hands are good to bluff with because when you have an ace in hand, it's less likely your opponent will. So it blocks a lot of the hands that they're going to be calling or jamming your 3-bet with. And when he's in on the button there, he's going to be opening up a ton of hands, which are not going to be able to continue. So that allows me to mix in a lot of 3-bet bluffs to try to steal his raise, the blinds, and the ante. Okay, so we are going to bump this one up. Let's go 2.3 big blinds from middle position. We do get called. Now, on this board, I missed pretty completely, but I do block a lot of straights, and this board should be pretty good for my range, so I'm going to fire a slightly less than half pot continuation bet. And it gets through. He's going to be calling on the button with a lot of middling pocket pairs, pocket 5, 6, 7s, 8s, a lot of his hands, some suited connectors, 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited, but a lot of hands that can't continue there. But it's nice to pick up the pot with just ace high. Puts us up to 25th out of 74 remaining. Got ace king offsuit. This guy's all in. Easy call. King jack. No jack. No ace. No 9. And we hold. Always nice when the small blind rips it all in and you're sitting there with ace king. Too bad he only had 6 bigs, but can't complain too much. Pick up a nice one. Puts us up over a milli. We got 1.1 million in chips now. Over 20 times what we started with. We are going to raise it up 2 big blinds. Folds to the big blind, who makes the call. And look at this glorious flop. We're going to put out a small bet, as we would with almost 100% of our range. And he folds. Now, Jack 10 suited. We are going to open up as well. Folds to the big blind yet again, who lets his cards go. Pick up 2 small pots there, very nice, sitting in 25th still. Ace king suited here, we are going to bump it up 4 bigs when it folds, and very anticlimactic. Of course, when we get our great hands, it just folds around and we make almost nothing off of it, but that's all right. I guess we could have ended up getting it all in against pocket queens or something and then losing a coin flip. So we'll happily take that small pot. Okay, going to open up the king 10 suited here. In early position. Big blind makes the call. And on this very dry board, we are going to put out a small c-bet. A little less than half pot. He makes the call, the flush gets there, some straights get there, he leads into us. Not what we were looking for. I think we're just going to have to fold here. Pocket 7s, we are going to bump this one up from early position. Folds around to the big blind. Let's see what he elects on doing. He does make the call. Snap checks it over to me. I am going to put out a half pot size bet on this board that favors my range much more so than the big blind, as I'm going to have a lot more aces and kings. He does make the call. I think I'm going to check back this turn card. He checks. I honestly think he might have spades here. Could have a king or 9, but I don't think I'm going to get him off that hand. Yeah, that's tough. I'd basically have to put it all in there on the river to try to get him to fold a king. Tough spot against a big stack. It's hard to kind of play aggressively, especially with a hand like pocket 7s. Down to 16 bigs now, getting a little bit testy here. 47th out of 57 remaining. Gonna have to start going all in here. Ace queen, we're going all in. Gonna play for it all here. Hopefully we get called by ace jack. Pocket 10s, pocket jacks, grab a quick double up. Most likely everyone's just going to fold around. This is a very strong play to just open jam from under the gun. And yeah, it does fold around. We pick up the blinds in the ante. It's pretty much all we're going to be doing from this point. When you're under 20 big blinds, more like 15 or under, you're basically just going all in or folding. Trying to stay afloat, but still in 41st, 53 remaining, so Certainly towards the bottom of the pack, but not out of it just quite yet. All right, we are going to open up the Jack 10 offsuit here. I could just rip it all in, but I think I'm just going to go for the standard open here. Always give myself the option to fold if I get jammed on, but still have the chance to pick it up. Do get called, and on this board we are going to be happy committing our stack here. I'm gonna go for a 70% pot size bet. We got the jack high flush draw, now the pair of jacks. I think we just need to rip it all in here. Oh, and he had the flush. No! He flopped the queen high flush draw. We had the jack high flush draw. That's how it goes. Unfortunate. We've come in 50th place, cash for 179 bucks. Bit unfortunate as we were floating around in the top 10 for quite a while there in the middle, but we can take a look at our chip graph here. Doing pretty well, and then we just kind of went stagnant for a while. Won a couple more big ones, and then at the end just lost very quickly. But that's how it goes in tournaments. A lot of variance. Can't win them all, that is for certain. But appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you guys later. F's in the chat. F's in the chat. All right, everyone. Take care.